Morning. I want to talk today about Vladimir Putin and the upcoming very powerful November 8th lunar eclipse and how that will likely affect Putin. So let me share my screen. Okay, looks like we're ready to go. I've got a brief presentation here on the eclipse of Putin. Now, in this brief presentation, I'll look at the potential effect of the November 8th, 2022 lunar eclipse on Vladimir Putin. However, before I start, there's one caveat. There has been some dispute over Putin's birth date and location of birth. However, the most widely used date, time, and place of birth is October 7, 1952 at 9:30 a.m. in St. Petersburg, Russia. Furthermore, this birth data has been confirmed by Steph de Groot, Putin's webmaster. More importantly, though, this birth data seems to work well both with regard to a description of Putin's personality and his invasion of Ukraine. And so this is the birth data that I will use in this presentation. Now, Putin's sun is in Libra along with Mercury, Saturn, and Neptune. And this represents a very affable side of Putin that can present him as a peacemaker to others. However, all of these planets are either in or on the cusp of the 12th house, and this suggests that he keeps much of himself hidden from view. And this is in line with his KGB career. Putin's moon is in Gemini, and this suggests a quick mind. But its 8th house location also suggests a lot of drama in his life. This, along with his 12th house planets, does not suggest a life that is free of tension. Furthermore, the moon rules his 9th house, which rules religion, law, and higher education. Interestingly, Putin studied law at Leningrad State University, and he has a PhD in economics. Putin has Scorpio rising, with Scorpio's ruler, Pluto, strongly conjunct both the midheaven and the south lunar node. Scorpio rising adds to his penchant for secrecy, and the conjunction with the midheaven makes him a person who can wield power. Additionally, the south node represents the karmic path of least resistance. And with Leo involved, it is natural for him to see himself as the king. Okay. There we go. The north node represents what you have an appetite for, and Putin's north node is conjunct the cusp of his 4th house, which represents personal space and the home environment. Putin's older brothers died before his birth, and he grew up in a communal apartment. This could create a longing for a real home, and as president, his desire now is to restore the old Russian homeland. Well, on the day that Russia invaded Ukraine, transiting Uranus was in strong opposition to Venus in his 1st house. This suggests that Putin was making a decision based on his right brain values, Venus, rather than the more logical left brain, Mercury, and that he was acting in an unstable manner, Uranus. Furthermore, a sesquiquadrate from transiting Uranus to his natal Mars only enhanced his unstable aggression at that time. Furthermore, with transiting Saturn conjunct his north node on the cusp of his 4th house on February 24, while also squaring Jupiter in his 7th house, it is likely that Putin saw expansion of the homeland as both his insatiable desire and his destiny. Notice too that transiting Saturn was at 18 degrees Aquarius on this day. We're going to come back to that. However, on June 4th, 2022, Saturn went retrograde for several months, and Putin's plans to conquer Ukraine stalled. On November 8, 2022, there will be a very powerful lunar eclipse that will have a definite impact on Putin. Notice that transiting Saturn is once again at 18 degrees Aquarius, conjunct his north node. Saturn turned direct on October 22, 2022, and since then his invasion of Ukraine has advanced with attacks on Ukraine's critical infrastructure. On December 2nd, 2022, transiting Saturn will be exactly conjunct his north node, and that is a date to watch. At the same time, transiting Saturn is in moderate opposition to Putin's 10th house Pluto during the lunar eclipse, and this suggests that Putin is feeling the limitations of his power. This opposition will become exact on January 3rd, 2023. Likewise, transiting Saturn is again strongly square Putin's Jupiter, and so his desire for expansion is revitalized by this eclipse. This square to Jupiter will become exact on November 29, 2022, and that's another date to watch. Additionally, retrograde Mars is in strong opposition to Putin's natal Mars during the eclipse, intensifying his aggression. Mars entered the retrograde zone at 8 degrees Gemini on September 3rd, 2022, while making a square to Putin's Mars-Jupiter midpoint at 8 degrees Pisces. That is really going to set off his aggressive, expansive tendencies. From October 30 through January 12, Mars will be retrograde, and the events of September and October 2022 will be revisited during this period. So, Putin tried to do stuff in September and October, wasn't always very successful, often fell flat, but these things are going to be revisited now during this period while Mars is moving retrograde. In January, in January 2023, Mars will spend most of the month at 8 degrees Gemini, squaring Putin's Mars-Jupiter midpoint, further intensifying his aggressive tendencies. And let me take out this unnecessary period there. Okay. Mars turns direct on January 12 and finally leaves the retrograde zone on March 15th, 2023. And on March 17th, its opposition to natal Mars will be exact. What Putin will do, I can't say, but there will be a heightened probability for aggression in this period as Mars passes through his 8th house of death. And we have certainly seen Putin bring about the death of many people during this past year. Okay. And finally, retrograde Chiron near the cusp of Putin's 6th house is in strong opposition to Putin's sun during the lunar eclipse. And this adds credence to rumors that Putin is ill. Chiron will turn direct on December 23rd, and it will be in exact opposition to Putin's sun on March 2nd, 2023. Since Chiron often wounds one in its efforts to bring about transcendence, life circumstances may wound Putin, or he may just continue to wound others. And that's it. In summary, some of the cycles related to Putin's aggression in Ukraine won't play themselves out until mid-March 2023. And January 2023 may be a critical time, given that transiting Mars will square his Mars-Jupiter midpoint for most of the month. Similarly, his aggressive motivations will be intensified by the November 8, 2022 lunar eclipse. However, on July 30, 2023, we'll see the first of 3 exact squares of transiting Uranus to Putin's 10th house, Pluto. And between then and the last square on May 6, 2024, Putin's fortunes may change. So, do I know exactly what Putin will do and how things will turn out for him? Absolutely not. All I know is the weather surrounding Putin. His choices are his own. But nonetheless, the weather doesn't look good. Okay, that's the end of my slideshow. So let me stop sharing. And that is pretty much it for this presentation. It looks like the November 8th lunar eclipse, a very powerful one coming up, is also going to have a strong impact on Putin. It will probably intensify his aggressions. And as I said, things may not completely play out until March of 2023. And I certainly hope that things take a change for the better by then. None of us, aside from maybe Putin, want this war to drag on forever. Actually, I'm sure he doesn't want to drag on forever either, but I hope that everything concludes with Ukraine's independence. And if necessary, Putin's removal, and hopefully, at some point, the establishment of a more democratic government in Russia. So let's all visualize that and hope for that. And that's it for now. I hope to see you again soon. So long.